This was a 4.8 RR, and I've made around 4.95%. And if I've extended my take profit just a little bit to have an even number of 5%, then I would actually lose the trade. I actually caught the very bottom before the Asia session also happened. So I'm going to be sharing how I do that. I actually did not catch the top of the retracement on the 5-minute, and I waited for a 15-minute retracement. But I still entered on the 5-minute and got a really good fill up here, which is why this is really high risk reward. This is a really good setup. We had a very strong S&P divergence as well, so I'm going to be going over this trade. Right, so coming into the day, I was bearish, even though we were bullish on the daily time frame. So we actually took out a weekly high, which is just really major liquidity, and because of that, I think we're gonna have a deeper retracement. Still below this daily high, and also we have a lot of imbalances like this daily gap for us to at least fill before continue higher or lower. So on the daily, it was technically a bullish, but overall I was pretty neutral to bearish. And on the forward, we are currently bullish. We broke above this for high, but there's like no gaps in here. I was bearish on the forward because on the ES we had this 4-hour gap and we disrespected this gap. So because of that, it will be impossible to wait for Nasdaq to break structure, because that would be like way over here. So instead, I used the other index to find out the direction that price wanted to go. If we were bullish, we could have came up in this gap and then continued higher, but we disrespected it, which is a strong signal for me that probably going to be bearish, or at least until we come into a higher time frame equilibrium. Right around market open, we had this move up, we filled this gap. This was a really strong liquidity. This was a 4-hour high. We actually took it out on ES, forming a high time frame S&P divergence. So that strengthened my bearish bias, and also we didn't even break structure to the upside on the 1-hour time frame. So the 1-hour time frame was also bearish. And we had this strong rejection out of that. Only after that sweep happened, I scaled down to the lower time frame, which is the 5-minute, and then we broke 5-minute structure on this candle right here. We broke the slow, and then we retraced into equilibrium. Well, we actually didn't. I think we didn't came to equilibrium. We did come into this 5-minute huge gap, but usually when we have these big of gaps, I usually like to wait for equilibrium to get hit, and usually when it gets hit, I get a good risk-reward ratio. But it didn't happen. We continued the downtrend, so I thought that I missed the move. But then I saw in the 15-minute we have this 15-minute gap. So because of that, I couldn't enter on the next 5-minute move down, because if I place my stop loss right here, I would have a high chance of getting stopped out. We did respect it. We didn't close above it. So we actually broke structure to retrace into this gap. And because of that, I felt a bit emotional, because the 15-minute flipped to bullish, but I was trading on the 5-minute. But I shouldn't care about that, because I trade on the 5-minute. We got a break structure right here. This is a move down, then a move up. We retraced into equilibrium, and confirmed on the 1 minute time frame. Well, I was a bit scared because we were respecting this 5 minute gap and we left basically two imbalances. So I thought maybe this break structure is not valid because we have this gap and then also this gap. I feel like this is because I like overcomplicating things. And for example, T0 keeps it simple. Low is just a move down, then a move up. But what if we go in this gap, respect it, and then continue high because the 50 minute was bullish. And then also I didn't catch the very top of this move. The top is all the way right here. It's basically imagining different scenarios in my head because I was scared of losing and I was scared of breaking my rules, which was more important to me. But my strategy presented itself in this setup, so I had to take it. I wouldn't regret losing this trade because it is a valid setup and I have to take valid setups to become profitable. On the 1 hour time frame, we had these draws on liquidity. We had this most recent low. We had these stacked hourly lows. And we also had this low down here, which is high resistant because this was the move down. That was the sweep before. So there's a big space between these draws in liquidity and this liquidity. And because of that, price is not likely to come down all the way right here, but instead the easiest thing for it to do is just grab all of these lows and continue up, which is exactly what happened. I wanted to put my take profit right here because it was already a decent risk to reward, but that's not the way that I trade. There was a really small difference in price between this low to this low. So I put all my take profits right here and didn't do brushes. I'm not gonna say that everything I did was perfect. I still felt a lot of emotions, or I was doubting if this was a real break structure or not, even though it totally was. And the 5 minute and the 15 minute was conflicting with each other, so I started doubting my trade. So now the only thing that I have to worry about is overconfidence or euphoria, because after a big win, hopefully I don't get overconfident and maybe take bad setups or risk more than what I'm supposed to. If you also have fear in the markets of breaking your strategy or losing, just imagine over series of like 10 to 20 trades, would it hit take profit most of the times? And if the answer is yes, also does this setup follow all of your rules? And if the answer is yes, then you should take it. In the past, I did used to have some problems with that. I used to miss setups because I was scared of losing, and that's because I wasn't thinking in many outcomes instead of one. Basically thinking probabilities, where instead of you going back and looking, oh, I knew this would happen, but instead it should be, I knew this was a high chance of this happening, and it just makes it easier to accept losses. But I do not accept losses where I break my rules, which I guess happened a few times last week. So I hope this doesn't happen again. Over time, I've noticed that the more trades that I take, the less profits that I make. I'm gonna end the video here. I don't really have anything else to talk about, and I'll see you guys next time.